where we're just going to talk about it's basically going to follow our whole journey learning about what it is to be financially independent.
Mm-hmm.
All the aspects that go into it, investing, retirement, saving money, and trying to figure out like what does financial independence mean, right?
Yeah, I think for me it would be also an opportunity to learn more about finances, because I know you are really interested in that. I know you
love learning.
Yeah, I know you research a lot about it. You read a lot about it. All the podcasts and videos you watch is all about getting out of debt, learn how to manage your money, and that's not like an environment that I'm so interested on learning and researching before.
So why do you think it's not that interesting to you? Because like financial independence can literally let you live the life you want. You know?
I understand the importance of that, but I have a hard time managing my money on the matters of thinking I need to stop doing some things that I like if I want to save money.
Okay.
That's a really hard part for me, because I feel like I let it work so much. I work 8 hours a day, and it's a physical job that I need to walk and need to be managing a lot of heavy stuff. So when I'm out of work, I have this mindset that I want to enjoy my time. And I have this idea like, what happens if I die tomorrow? I didn't enjoy my life.
Right.
So like following the budget is a hard time for me, because I feel like I am reducing the fun stuff I can do and enjoy my money. I understand the importance of all that. It's just like hard for me.
See, in my head, I think like a little bit of depriving yourself right now, like delayed gratification, because I plan on living a long time, like that's the whole plan. If I live to 80, 90 and I have to stop working at 60, maybe my body's not able to keep working. I don't want to run out of money. I don't want to be broke my whole life, but okay, so
yeah, I understand that. It's not like I don't worry about the future. Of course, I want to retire in a reasonable age, healthy, and be able to enjoy my life. But I also feel like, what about now? What about the present? And that's why I'm learning with you, to be able to manage that and find a way to enjoy your day without getting that.
Right. It doesn't mean that you can't do anything right now. Like, if you save the money and you go on a big trip and you don't put yourself in a position where you need to pay that off for the next 6 months, a year, and then you go in more debt to like go on another vacation, you can, it's just about waiting like a little bit, just enough to save the money.
Yes.
But okay, that was I guess we got on a little bit of a tangent there.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is kind of what we'll be doing. We'll be having discussions about, our ideas, things we learn.
And I think that's the interesting part about what we're trying to build here, because we have different views.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of people out there can have a hard time, as I have, managing the money and understanding how you can have fun, how can you enjoy your free time without going to that. It's something that I am learning. I'm sure thousands of other people will be interested in trying to learn that too.
Exactly. Okay, so in this episode, we kind of wanted to talk about our background with money.
Yes.
Because a lot of the times, the way that you grow up with money, your experiences can really impact how you manage money now. So, do you want to go first, or do I want to go first?
I can go first. I don't mind. I think it's actually connected. How I grow up, how my family taught me about money, and how they handle all that, and how I think today about money. I think it's all connected in some way.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge influence. So I grew up in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and I used to live with my mom, my dad, and my young sister. And my family was never good with money. I grew up in a family that was full of that. I think I never knew a reality where my parents were not in that. It was like a constant, was almost like normal, was the way of living.
As it is with a lot of people.
Yeah.
As it is with a lot of people.
That's really interesting. Even though my grandpa, my mom's dad, was good with money, he bought properties, he lived by renting, and he worked hard his entire life.
Yeah.
But my parents, on the other side, was never really worried. I mean, they were worried about money, of course, but they didn't know how to live differently. I think that was the huge thing.
Okay.
My dad, he used to work in the metallurgic industry.
I know he worked at building.
I know that's the
right?
term in English. They have a term in English.
Oh,
It's
okay.
called it's metallurgic.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that word.
So my dad, he used to work in the metallurgic industry. It's like basically building huge
Boats?
boats.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Big ships, like for the
Big
military,
ships.
right?
No, not for military,
Okay.
more of like petroleum or these big ships that go ocean.
Maybe
with,
like freighters?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of like that.
Big, huge ships that
ones.
just carry things, right?
Exactly. Containers and
Yeah.
huge containers. So he builds these big ships. That was his work. And my mom was a homestay mom. She never worked.
Yeah.
So the only money we have was from my dad.
Mhm.
And he didn't make that much money.
Right.
He was just like a worker.
Yeah.
He was not a manager or anything. So he used to work a lot. I remember he getting out home really early, come late in the night, and sometimes we didn't even have so much contact with him.
Right. He just comes home to sleep.
Exactly.
Leaves, comes home to sleep and leaves.
Exactly. And the weekends he was always so tired and so out of patience
Yeah. Okay.
because when he worked so much, he was
Yeah.
always so stressed.
Okay.
Like I think because debt was a constant and most of the time we struggled so much even by food. So he was also so stressed. He was always so stressful.
Right. Especially like you're working so hard and then you never see yourself getting ahead. It's
Yeah.
constantly the debts like pulling you down. Okay.
I feel like he never saw the results of his hard work. And like I think it's a really sad thing.
Yeah.
Especially because now he's retired, but I don't think he makes that much money from retirement as he should. For
Okay.
thinking about how much he worked.
Yeah.
Because my dad never finished high school, so
Okay.
he started working in this industry since he was 16.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And so like, and
That's a
then
lot of
he
time.
retired, so many years of work, and he just made the minimum salary. But yeah, so we grew up in this environment.
Yeah.
Money was always a matter of stress. Like always a matter of fight. My mom and dad fight so much because my mom need medicine.
Mm-hmm.
She deal with some mental issues, and the medicine was so expensive. Was really expensive.
Yeah.
Half of my dad's salary goes into that. So we grew up in that environment. The neighborhood where I live was also considered a poor neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
We used to live really close to what we call favela in Rio. I was not in the favela, but I was really close to it.
At this point, now it's expanded to be where you used to live, right?
Yes.
The favela literally has grown, and now your home you used to live in is part of a favela, right?
Yes, the last 2 or 3 years ago, Brazil is going through a really hard political time, a really hard economic time. And moments like that, we see criminality growing because the poverty numbers just grow and people need assistance and needs food. And in this neighborhood, most of the time, the criminality and the gangster are the one who kind of become this figure of protection. It's kind of contradictory
Yeah.
thing, but it's kind of like how things are. So I grew up in that neighborhood, and that neighborhood was never an invitation to be wealthy.
Okay.
Because like the houses, they look bad.
Yeah.
The streets were not clean, and you see people working so hard but never like going forward.
Okay.
And you always think like, what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, like you think in your head, you know, people that work so hard, they might be able to make a better living.
Yeah,
But
they're
then-
going somewhere, they're achieving something.
But then when you see that people are working so hard and it doesn't seem to be getting them anywhere, I think that's where it starts to, people start to get the mindset that, oh, maybe I can't get out of this situation. Maybe I can't ever leave this neighborhood.
Or even like, I study with so many people, like, because I go to public school, and all of us basically go to public schools around my neighborhood. And so many other students, they get to a point where they're kind of thinking, why should I work so hard? Because my dad works so hard and he's still trying to pay the bills at the end of the month.
So, like, why do you think it's like that? Is that just how it is in Brazil? Do you think that people cannot move up the do you think people cannot move up the socioeconomic ladder? Or because it is a capitalist country, right?
Yes.
So the idea is that you work hard, you can pay all your bills, you can save money, and you can like move up, right?
I think that's really related to the culture. I think it's hard to understand that because in America, United States, you guys have this idea where you can work hard and you can invest, you can build a business, you can find ways, like the system give you opportunity in some level to help you to get out of the situation you are if you want to. I'm talking about not even physical opportunities or money. I'm talking about the culture, the idea, the mentality behind the society. I think in Brazil, generation after generation, it start getting used to the kind of life. And for example, I never heard anyone saying, "Oh, I want to open a business. I want to try a new different thing."
Right.
It was like my dad did that, my grandpa did that. Like generations of people working in warehouses or building ships, like my dad. His entire he has like 3 or 4 brothers that work in the same industry.
Okay.
Building ships.
Yeah.
But all of them live simply. So that was kind of, I think it's a mentality behind it, the society. I don't think my country has this idea of you can go out there and build your own thing.
Okay.
You just need to go find a good job and pay your bills. That's how you live. That's the normal.
Yeah. Okay, so basically your family started out kind of, you know, not a lot of money, and it's still been like that. There weren't a lot of changes.
No, I don't.
Except for you decided that you were gonna try to really,
yeah, I think
advance your life, right?
Yeah, that's why I was saying that my friends that study with me in public school, they were so used to see their families and their parents and other people living normally, just having a job. Most of them didn't decide to go to college. Most of them finishing high school and go find a job.
Go straight into like
and marry, have
relationships and
kids.
stuff, yeah.
Yes. I remember one time it was my first year of college, and I was in a shopping mall close to where I used to live in Brazil, and I saw this guy. He used to be my friend in high school, and I was 18, 19 years old, and he was already a kid and a wife.
Okay.
And I remember he used to work in some, I don't know which industry, it was like a normal job, like not much money, probably he would make, but he was already settled with family. It was just the path most people go.
Yeah.
And me and my sister, we grew up with the idea, we want to get out of here, we want a better life.
Okay.
And in our head, education was the only way. We need to go to college. And the good thing is in Brazil, college is free. We don't pay tuition to go to
you got a
college.
lot of scholarships too.
I got a scholarship
for
for my high
school.
school.
Yeah, okay.
So I always studied in public school until before my high school, what you guys call the middle school here.
6th grade, around 10, 11?
Yeah, until you go to high school when you're 14, 15, you start high school.
Yeah.
So before that, I was always studying public schools. But then I get a chance to get a scholarship and go to study in a private school during my high school times, my high school years. And then after that, I had an opportunity to have a good education.
Right.
To try the exam, because even though the college is free, no tuition, you need to pass a national exam.
A really hard exam.
Yeah, especially depending what kind of degree you want.
Okay.
For example, medicine or lawyer, they are really competitive. It was really, really hard to pass unless you have an amazing prep school to
Okay.
prepare yourself for the exam.
Yeah.
But at that time, I decided for history and was not so competitive, so I was able to get in. I take a good score in the exam, so I was able to get in, and then I finished my college. And then after that, I started my master, and after that, I started my PhD, because in my head, it was like more education, more chance
Exactly.
of having a stable financial life. And yeah, in the middle of all this studying, I got the opportunity to come to the United States in 2018 with a scholarship, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah. I feel like you had to do a lot of, you had to change your mindset a lot though. Right? Because you're surrounded by people that have always done this. They're okay just, settling with where they are, getting whatever job they can. But you, and I think your parents probably instilled this in you too, is that work hard, maybe not working a job hard right away, right when you get out of high school is the best choice. They encouraged you to go to school, go to college, do your master's, get your PhD, all that.
Yeah, my parents always support a lot of education, especially my mom. She has this idea, she always told my sister and me, you need to study. I don't want you to end up like me. I don't want you to have the same life as I have. So go study. And we grow up with this invitation, this mentality like education was really, really important. And me and my sister, we accept that and we dedicate ourselves to that. And my sister, she also goes to college. She studied English, and now she's a teacher. She teach. I think it's like below middle school,
Elementary school.
elementary, like kids 9 to 12.
Okay, yeah.
Most of the time. So, and she loves what she does.
Yeah.
And she's living her life the best she can.
Exactly.
And she's still in Brazil. She's still living in Rio, and she loves there. I think that she's happy.
Good.
Yes. Well, how about you? Tell me a little bit about your experience with money, your family growing up.
Yeah, I mean, starting out, things were a little rocky. My parents were young. They were like early 20s, so.
When they get married?
Well, they got married, probably about 19, and then when they had us, they were like early 20s, like 22, 23.
They met in high school, right?
They met in high school, yeah, stayed in high school. So I don't remember a lot of this, but I do remember living where we lived. It was a smaller house, starter house. But my parents tell me, when they first started, like building a family, we didn't have food in the fridge, maybe we had bread and milk. They both worked at like fast food restaurants, so the food that we would have was mostly whatever food they could manage to bring home. And creditors calling the house, they wouldn't answer the phone because they knew they were creditors. So I think there was an option to stay that way, stay living paycheck to paycheck, working fast food restaurants, whatever. And I just remember living in the house. I don't remember struggling with money. I think I was too young to understand what was happening.
How old do you think you are at that time?
I mean, from the time I was like a baby, to probably about 3.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't have any memory.
I remember a little bit, but I don't remember. And I was probably too young to even understand what was happening. You know, like, oh, we don't have food. But then, you know, both my parents worked. I remember they were sharing a car. One time the car broke down. We had to walk to like where my mom was working. It was 90 degrees. It was so hot. We had a car without air conditioning, but they were both working, you know, just trying to manage. Then my dad got a really good opportunity working at a big car company. And I think from there, that's where things really started to change for my family. You know, making a good income, the opportunity to work overtime, and my mom still working really helped boost our family income, right? But
how many kids they have at the time?
It was probably two. There were 2 of us. And then by the time my dad was already established in the company, you know, they bought a house, they had another kid, so there was 3 of us now. So I think that, I don't think just the job was the thing that changed everything. It was, you know, the magic ticket, because my parents were also like really good with money. You know, I remember every Friday my mom would sit down and pay bills for like next week, next month. You know, she always tried to be ahead of everything. You know, everybody, once we got older, I started to realize that we kind of had a good amount of money. You know, like before school every year we would go shopping for clothes and like whatever we wanted, you know. We would always go on family vacations at least every year, right? But it wasn't like, we didn't go to overseas. We didn't go to Europe and stay in France for like 3 weeks. We would go and visit family members that lived in, you know, Texas. Maybe people lived in Florida or Vegas. So that kind of limited our like expenses, right? So, you know, although we did all these things, you know, we had great Christmases, and go on vacation every year. They were still kind of smart with their money. You know, like I remember in 2008 when, you know, everything crumbled, like it was the Great Recession.
Yes.
Everybody was scared about, you know, maybe losing their house, losing this, losing that. The house was already paid off by that time, which would have been like 10 years after they started the mortgage. So in my head, like I was taught, I wasn't directly taught, nobody sat down and said, Kelsey, do not spend all your money. I just kind of saw it that...
I think they teach you by the example.
I think they taught by example, you know, but there was like, the example, there were 2 sides of that example, right? Like one side was, we went shopping and got all the clothes we wanted, like there was no limit, and we went on vacation, or like everybody had a car. But then on the other side, I see, you know, my mom sitting down every Friday to pay the bills, and she would always make sure we knew she was paying them ahead of schedule. Or my dad was working like 12-hour days. He would do 12-hour days, he would work over the weekend, and the idea was, you know, it was so that he could get that overtime. So I saw the life that was possible with hard work, with managing your money well. And I also think just in general, I was a saver by nature. You know, I don't know what came first. I don't know if I was born a saver and then I just happened to be born into this family that, you know, started off struggling with money, but then really built like a really good life, you know, very comfortable.
But do you think also in some way, not just your dad or mom influence, that you bring that to your reality and change your perspective about how you manage money. But you think also other members from your family give you an example? Because I don't believe particularly that people was born a certain way. I think we can learn and we can change the reality around us. I do think it's a possibility. So I was just wondering what other influences around you could make, for example, I know your family, right? I know your two other sisters, they have a different view about how they deal with money and how they spend it. And you are so different from that. So do you think anyway something else could also bring this reality for you, an experience or?
See, I don't really know, because I know that people who grow up with money can sometimes feel like they're entitled to the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can feel like, I don't care, I need the best car, I need the best shoes, I need the best this, that. And I think that's what's happening with some of my sisters,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe they grow up and they've always had like things handed to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember the stories about being, getting calls from creditors, and I mean, even from a very young age, like when we would have chores
Mm-hmm.
and my parents would like pay us for the chores, I would always be saving my money
Mm-hmm.
and like not go out and spend it,
Mm-hmm.
or like I never really liked shopping,
Mm-hmm.
but my sister loved shopping,
Uh-huh.
so
It's
I also,
your personality.
it's also my personality too, but like, don't get me wrong, there were times in my life where I was working and I had some friends that always wanted to go out to the bar, always wanted to go out to eat, and I would do those things. There's a part in my college life where maybe I was too lazy to make a lunch, and I would go out to lunch every day.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if everybody that you're hanging out with wants to go out and like you go have more fun at the bar drinking, then I would do that. But then when I would check my credit card statements or realize like, wow, I feel like I'm making good money, but I'm not saving any of it, then I would, go back to not eating out,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe going out every once in a while, but not every day.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think I can say that's somehow the difference between my reality, the reality that I grew up and yours, is because my side, I never had the money to spend. We always lived in such a short budget that me and my sister, we never go on vacations with my parents. It was never a thing. The maximum we go, we just go to the beach.
which is right down the street, right?
Or like, even if you go to the famous beach we have in the more rich areas, we go with public transportation. My dad when he bought a car, a used car, the car always was broken because he never had money to maintain the car.
Okay.
So always something wrong with the car.
Yeah.
So most of the time the car was just stopped in front of the house and never actually driving it. So public transportation was a reality. Wherever I go, after I started working, because I started working as soon as I got in college. I didn't work during my high school because I have a scholarship. And for me to maintain a scholarship was really hard.
Right, your job was to do well in school. Yeah.
And for my parents, they were okay with that. I struggle sometimes with like, maybe I should work because so many times we didn't have money to buy groceries, and my dad needed to go to my grandpa and ask for his credit card to buy groceries.
Yeah.
And my grandpa used to let him use it, but that is more that and my dad needed to pay because my grandpa make sure he was paying it.
Right.
So there's always this tension around money and how to use it. So during college I started working, but at the same time I need to pay for my public transportation to go to college. And even though we don't pay tuition, you need to pay for books.
Yeah, okay.
And we have these Xerox when you take like copies of the
Xerox.
books.
Okay, yeah.
Xerox. In Portuguese is Xerox.
Xerox.
So we take like copies of chapters of some books we were reading that was cheaper than getting an entire book.
Okay.
We have ways to go to college without spending much money. And any leftover money I have, I would bring home to help buy any groceries we need.
I see.
Anything else for the week we need. So without like a shortage of money.
Okay.
And I feel like now when I have more independence, I don't have 4 people depending on my short money.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to finally enjoy life. And that's why I have a hard time saving.
Okay.
And also I think it's an influence from my family because I grew up without saving money. It was never, saving money was impossible.
Right.
Or I think it was not saving money, I think it was having money at the end of the month to pay for food.
Wow.
So.
And I do think that does kind of, it changes how you feel about, it changes how you manage money. It literally does.
I already go through so much
Scarcity,
money.
Right.
Yeah, then now I want to like finally have good moments in my life. But like I'm trying to change this mindset. I'm trying to learn how to manage better because I don't want to be in the same situation as they are.
Exactly.
Even though I'm not already, what's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I still need to learn how to save for my future, especially when I get old. And we never know what happens if you're going to be able to work until wherever.
Exactly.
Or get sick or something.
Exactly. You don't know that you're going to be able to work till you're 70, 80. And,
Exactly.
you know, people who might love their jobs and they're like, I'm never going to quit. I'll just work till I die. I also think that's a little sad, you know, like to think that you might have to work until the day you die. Like,
I think that depends a lot.
Depends on what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
mean,
if you
love what you're doing, then it's not work,
exactly.
Right? That's what they say.
I have been having jobs to make us money, but it's not jobs that I love. It's not my passion. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I do it because we need to have a better life.
Right.
So even though I finished my PhD in history, I never decided to go to that path because being a professor or a teacher was never something I really want to do. I want to do research. I like reading. I like writing. I like discovering new things.
Yeah.
But being a teacher professor was a nightmare for me. I hate that so much.
Yeah. But I think that's also, you know, the point of trying to reach financial independence, because when you reach financial independence, you don't have to work. Like, you don't have to work just to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You can work on things that you enjoy. That if they make money, that's great. But if they don't, then like it's fine, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because this is such a concept that fit well the society, the American society, the United States society. And I feel this is coming now to Brazil, this idea of being financially independent.
Okay.
This idea of being your own boss.
Yeah.
This idea of having your own business, not depending so much in the normal type of job.
Yeah.
Where you have this relation employee and employer. That's a new mentality that's growing in Brazil right now with the new generation, because more and more the new generation is having contact with influence from the United States. We always had, but more and more with technology,
it's right at our fingertips.
Exactly.
You know?
And internet is allowing a lot of young people to create their own things, like YouTubers, podcasters, writers, designers. They have found a space online to grow.
Yeah.
So this mentality comes with that. Like, we are learning a lot with the United States. But for my generation, I had my first computer when I was 15.
Right. Yeah.
I had my first cell phone when I was almost 18.
Okay.
And it was not even the smartphone. It was the one that we need to type. So it was a different environment for me than for the new generation.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that. I'm happy to see that new people in Brazil is learning how to live differently than their parents.
Exactly. Because like you don't have to live that way. Like I feel like even though Brazil might not be at the same level as like the United States in terms of infrastructure, there's still opportunities if the knowledge is there to not live the same way your parents did. If your parents are like low income, living paycheck to paycheck, of course there's rich people in Brazil that don't have this problem.
Yeah, and I think the most difficult thing for Brazil right now is that a lot of smart people who finish their PhD in science or business, they are living outside of Brazil.
Oh.
Less people is staying there just because the economy is so hard right now. We don't have a good job market. People is like going employment really easy, losing their jobs. The political environment is so contradictory right now. So a lot of people with high education is leaving Brazil. So it's hard to have a country where even though you have public education, you have really smart people, but these people don't have a place to work, nowhere they would make money as they deserve.
Right.
And they know that. They know that they can go to Europe, or they can go to the United States and make much more money than stay in Brazil.
Way more money.
I don't think that's wrong. I don't think they're bad people for not staying in Brazil. Because honestly, if I was in that situation, I would also go.
I mean, you kind of did.
Yes, right? I'm just saying, like, if I get a big opportunity of job outside of Brazil, I would go. Just because I need to think of myself, I need to think about my family, and it's hard to think one person would change the world.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we have a shortage of good workers with high education, and that's definitely affecting Brazil, and this is sad, but hopefully it will change with time.
Hopefully.
That's what I hope.
Yeah, and I think, if you become a voice in the financial, space, I mean, you're from Brazil, so like people can like relate and see, wow, a person from a place that is now in a favela, we'll just say favela adjacent, whatever, can work hard, be smart, and like build a better life for themselves.
Yeah, and I think not only people from Brazil, but Latin Americans in general, I think you can relate to each other in the point of speaking of the language. We come from countries that has a lot of lack in infrastructure, education, and also security, danger, like more poor you are, you live in danger areas. So all these people that get out of this context and go to another country and try to have a better life, doesn't matter if work in construction, customer service, whatever, but they work hard and they are able to build amazing lives.
Totally.
So I think that's interesting to see.
Yeah.
And there's a different perspective that I would like to bring and discuss. Even though I have a background in education, I have the chance to have a high education. A lot of Latin Americans that come to the United States, they doesn't. So it's just interesting to see how this can talk and we can think about it when talking about finances. It is important.
Exactly. All right. Awesome.
All right. I think that's the end of the first episode.
Yeah. I liked it. I like our little discussion. I think that culture and the environment around you has a huge impact on how you see money.
Yes.
And I think some people have it easier than others, and some people really need to change their mindsets in order to believe that they can be successful.
Yeah. And I would like to think about, it's not about being easy or hard, it's just about the context you live and how you deal with it.
Okay.
Because a lot of people come from rich families and they end up in huge debts.
Right.
And some people come from really poor families and they also end in horrible debts.
Okay.
It's just about how you can learn and how you can get advantage of the tools around you to be better in general.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yes.
Go from, I delve deep into the financial space, but usually it's just listening. I'm not sitting and taking notes, so a lot of it might kind of leave my head a little bit after, but I really think that sitting down and researching and talking about things and discussing them together will really help to solidify all this knowledge and then
Yes.
turn into tools that we can. I think that sitting down and researching and talking about these
Yeah.
and discussing them together will really help to solidify all this knowledge and then
Yes.
turn into tools that we can use to
Exactly.
make our lives better.
Perfect. And that's a good idea behind this podcast.
Yeah.
Just us sitting here discussing important topics around finances, getting out of debt, living your life in the better way possible, and hopefully, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, so, stay tuned. We'll be coming out with new episodes weekly. If you like us, if you like this episode, give us a like, leave us a review. You can listen on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And we're also on YouTube. So
Yes.
find us on the Coming Out FI.
All right, see you guys later.
Bye.